of themselves, as it were.
Well, I think that's a fair pointer. Kilkenny teams usually go into semi-finals and finals like possibly having struggled through Leinster, like, and always playing down their own ability, like they're masters at that. But maybe the publicity-wise that they've got for their aggressive play, plus the fantastic hurling they've played in the Leinster final, for instance, has given them very high profile, which they don't usually do coming into the later stages of the championship. So maybe that might rebound on them. We hope so anyway.
It must be very hard to lift yourselves after you've beaten Wexford and Dublin and Offaly, and now you've got a very tough All-Ireland semi-final against Galway. That's very hard going for amateur players after all.
Well, it is obviously, Ger, but the type of training I think that Kilkenny does, they don't sort of overexert themselves on the training pitch. They leave all their efforts for the match itself, physically and everything else. Like, so there's no way they're going to be weakened one iota, like, from their either league or Leinster campaign for this game today.
What about Joe Connolly? I bet he'd like to be out there playing today.
I'm sure you would, like, but you know, circumstances alter cases. I've one last chance, but I won't attempt it this year. I'll be back hopefully in club hurling by about March or April of next year, so we'll see how it goes after that.
It's strange that there isn't a Connolly indeed on the starting 15 today. Michael's in the subs.
Well, it is, I suppose. I think John made his debut in '67 and it's been pretty well that way, you know, maybe one of us since, like, but we've had a very good innings, and maybe hopefully it's not the end of it, you know.
Of course, there is another semi-final this afternoon. That's in Croke Park, Antrim against Cork. Now, you were up in Antrim at a coaching course during the past week. What do you think of what looks a mismatch, at least on paper?
Well, it is a mismatch. There's no way that Antrim are going to go within 10 or 12 points of Cork. But they have major problems up there. The biggest one is the geographical one of being, for instance, last Sunday they went to Kilkenny, which is about 150 miles away, a challenge game, you know. But I think that if they went back to the B and got the competition of 7 or 8 matches, at least they would have that, like, rather than preparing and training for a game that they have no hope of winning, you know. But until the open draw comes in, which it never will, it's never going to be any different, you know.
Well, the Visha Fek and the Minuri on Sun, Cala de Vas.
Well, Hilma Gran Kaija Nimra on order fad, Cool agus 8 pointe, na 8 pointe, agus the Kaijan Imra anwe, agus is seller brand war go an park intach níl an gui bele cruisteach an immer to Griffith Shincher. Ach team na ovalia brand anwe, ach ni bach sel ke harlo.
Joe Connolly got a meal mahagut, Tan turn la direct Tosnu and
Welcome back, and welcome indeed to the studio here. With very shortly we'll be going back to Thurles for the senior game between, of course, Galway and Kilkenny. Before we do that, let me introduce our panel of experts who join me here in Studio 1 today. And first we welcome Eamon Cregan, who needs no introduction at all. Beside Eamon we have Dave Burney, former Wexford player, and Dave in fact has the, I suppose, dubious distinction at this stage, Dave, of being on the last Wexford team to win the All-Ireland Championship. And down beside him is, of course, Dermot Healy, the Offaly manager. Offaly beaten, of course, in the Leinster Championship by Kilkenny. We'll be talking to him in a moment about that. Well, I'm sure you'd like to have seen Offaly here today, Dermot, in the senior game, but in the absence of them, a good win by the minors nonetheless.
Yes, while a win by the seniors would be important, I think it is more important that Offaly made a breakthrough in the minor, and they have just qualified for the first All-Ireland, and that's a very bright future ahead for Offaly.
So to the Offaly minors, indeed, we extend our congratulations, and there is talent there to come then, obviously, in Offaly. But let's talk about the Leinster final. A very impressive display that day by Kilkenny, and I'm sure it impressed you just as much as anybody else.
It certainly did, and I think a lot of things have been said about the Leinster final, but the thing that impressed me about Kilkenny was how highly motivated they were. I've never seen a Kilkenny team as motivated as that team. And I suppose it's due to the fact that they hadn't even been in the Leinster final for the last 2 years, and you know, that really hurts the pride of Kilkenny players and followers, and that, I think, was the reason why they were so highly motivated, and I expect them to be equally as motivated today.
Well, Dave, they were certainly motivated as well when they played Wexford in the first round of the championship. Before we talk about that match, there is something that I think you should show to the viewers, which is your broken wrist, like my own, at the left wrist. Now, I know what happened to mine, but perhaps you better tell the people what happened to yours.
Well, I had an unfortunate hurling accident a few weeks ago. Somebody said that I was putting up my hand when I should have been taking it down. However, maybe when we get old, our bones get brittle.
Well, Dave, let's talk then about this first round match against Kilkenny. Again, that day, Kilkenny played very well. Now, Wexford had played well up to half-time, but perhaps you could put Kilkenny's performance in the context of Wexford's display that day. How good a Wexford team was it?
Well, I think that it really proved how good Kilkenny were on the day. Kilkenny have a marvellous attitude to the game, and even though Wexford were 10 points ahead at one stage, Kilkenny did not panic. They have a tremendous confidence, in fact a confidence that borders on an arrogance, and they decided this year that this was going to be their year and that they were going to take the crown on this occasion. And I think they have hurled with that confidence, even against Wexford. As I say, Wexford were 10 points ahead at one stage, and it looked curtains for them even at half-time, as you mentioned. But they hurled, they had put their game together. They made a few tactical switches, bringing on John Mulcahy in the half-hour line. As I say, they did not panic. They just hurled away at their own game. They were not overawed by the 10-point lead that Wexford had, and they, as I said, they have this confidence, and it is this confidence that brought them back into that game, and they hurled like champions in the last quarter.
Well, Eamon, at the beginning of the championship, you opted for Kilkenny, and I presume on the eve of this All-Ireland semi-final, you've seen nothing in the meantime to change your mind about that.
No, I haven't seen anything, to be quite honest. As Dave and Dermot said, Kilkenny are playing with this new, very aggressive approach, and it's paying dividends for them. Today, they're up against the Galway team that I don't think will buckle under that easily. I think it's going to be a very tough physical match. The conditions in Thurles today are soft, and Galway, I think Cyril Farrell said, or somebody said, Michael Connolly I think said that they were going to play the ball on the ground and keep it wide. Now, Kilkenny haven't come up against this type of game before, and it'll be interesting to see how they'll adapt to this new approach. That's if Galway play that type of game. But then again, I think Galway play the possession game. That means catching the ball and running with it and running in and trying to draw man. But if they play the open game, then they will put pressure on the Kilkenny, and then we'll see what kind of a team Kilkenny are.
Well, I know from talking to some of the Galway players and mentors during the week, Dermot, that they are expecting this to be a hard physical battle. And let's not forget, of course, Galway and Kilkenny met in the Ford League final, and there was some stick, let's say, dished out that day as well. Are you expecting this to be a tough game?
It could be, but I think there has been so much talk in advance of the game of it being physical that it could end up very tame. But back to Eamon's point there, where Galway players were quoted as saying that they were going to play the ball on the ground and open up the Kilkenny defence. That's the only way that Galway can succeed, but I don't think they can do that in the conditions in Thurles today. The ground is soft and heavy, and you can't. It's very difficult to adopt to that type of game in those circumstances.
Well, Dermot and gentlemen, we're going to find out over the next hour, a little bit more than that, just exactly how it's all going to work out. We await with anticipation to see this All-Ireland semi-final between Galway and Kilkenny. So let's now go to Thurles and join our commentator there, Ger Canning.
Thank you very much indeed, Michael. Welcome back to Semple Stadium for this, the 11th match in this year's championship. And as you see, Kilkenny are already out on the field. We're yet awaiting the arrival of the Galway team. They were a little late getting into their dressing rooms, having been watching the minor match. This is the Kilkenny team for the afternoon. It's unchanged from the team that beat the All-Ireland champions Offaly in the Leinster final. Kieran Brennan, who was replaced by Billy Fitzpatrick in that match against Offaly, is picked in his best position on the left wing. Goal hat-trick hero on that occasion, Liam Fennelly, is again at full forward in another day of brothers, 4 Fennellys, 2 Ryans and 2 Hendersons, 3 if you include Pat Henderson, the Kilkenny coach. The day has a damp feel about it, but the pitch has, so far at least, stood up very well. There was some rain here this morning, but it hasn't really affected it. The pitch in much better condition than it was for the league final. And so it's Galway making their time-honoured All-Ireland semi-final appearance. Cyril Farrell, the last man out there. Brendan Linsky and Peter Murphy, the sub-goalkeeper today. Galway back in the All-Ireland semi-final. Galway have made 2 changes for this match from their quarter-final side. That quarter-final, of course, was against Kerry, and there are 2 players forced out through injury. John Commons replaces Peter Murphy in goal, while Pierce Piggott, surprisingly, is selected at full forward in place of Michael Connolly. The injured duo, by the way, are Seamus Cohen and Michael McGrath, and their replacements are Ollie Kilkenny at right cornerback and Anthony Cunningham at corner forward. The referee for this afternoon's match is Terence Murray, 31 years of age. He's from Limerick, and a very big occasion for him. It's just his third big championship match. There he is on the left. With all the speculation that this could be a rough, tough, dour kind of game, I think the great onus of responsibility will be on the referee to be right up there with the play. Of course, he also has had the experience this year of refereeing the Munster final and did a very good job there. So very shortly now we'll have the parade. There's Sylvie Linnane coming across. But first it's time for the photographs. Galway, of course, who've done so well down the years in their semi-finals, in particular against Munster teams. Remember, they beat Cork in 1975 and 79. They beat Limerick after a replay in 1981. And, of course, Cork in that classic match again last year. The one notable exception was against the Leinster champions of 1980, when they beat Offaly, then at the start of what has become, of course, a great time for Offaly and Leinster hurling. Kilkenny, of course, well, they've been without All-Ireland success now for 3 years. That's a long time from a Kilkenny viewpoint. So this year, their richly talented and already successful lineup is going for a league and championship double. There you have Ger Henderson there, getting himself right into the frame of mind. Liam Fennelly just walking around. Ger Henderson, who came back from a bad injury which seemed likely to curtail his career indeed last winter, but thankfully he's back in the fray. Last time, of course, the sides met was in the Ford League final here on the 11th of May, and that match at least was notable for what many people thought was a highly physical game at times in what were soft and difficult conditions. And thankfully, at least, the pitch is in much better nick this afternoon. No question about that. There's a fine lush green coating of grass here. Indeed, some of the officials here at Semple Stadium were rather thankful for a little shower of rain we had early this morning, believing that some of the farmers put off haymaking to come and watch the match instead. Very good crowd present, around about 25,000. The Ryan stand away there on the far side, as you can see, more or less packed to capacity. That stand over there holds about 18,000 people, and just a few spare seats right at the extremes on the left and on the right hand side. The Kilkenny supporters, great supporters they are, and they've had a busy season, had a lot of travelling. This wasn't such a long journey for them, just down the road as it were to Semple Stadium. And here's Kevin Fennelly, one of the real success stories this season, following in the footsteps of Noel Skehan, Ollie Welch. I met Ollie Welch earlier this morning here in Thurles. This man has certainly done them proud, making a string of memorable saves throughout what has been a great championship campaign for Kilkenny. Of course, if you've been keeping in touch with the newspapers, you'll be aware that it's 33 years since a Galway team last beat Kilkenny in the championship. And apart from losing that league final here in May, Galway have always regarded Kilkenny as something of a bogey team. Their only victory of note against the Cats being a Ford Open semi-final win in the rain in Limerick last year. Noel Lane, who is the Galway captain, 31 years of age, stepping in alongside Frank Houlihan, and so the parade of the teams around Semple Stadium. Kilkenny with just one change from the league final win 3 months ago. And we note that one of the Galway players is receiving attention off the ball at the moment. It's Anthony Cunningham. We can just get a look at him just down in front of us here. I'm not quite sure if he went over on an ankle or anything like that, or what seems to be the problem, but that's Anthony Cunningham, player with real pace and real penetration. We were watching the rest of the players. We didn't quite see what happened to Anthony Cunningham there. He may just have turned over in the soft conditions. So the left ankle receives the necessary attention. In while the teams continue their parade, Kilkenny with their 15 players, Galway with 14. Hopefully that will be amended before the start of the match. What a nice setting it is for a big match here at Semple Stadium. The last big game here, of course, was 2 years ago, the centenary final of '84. And apart from a replayed match last year in the Munster Championship, Clare against Tip, that was the last really big game apart from the league matches. Interesting to look at the players as they march around here. The number of players who keep the socks down around the ankles, in contravention of the new rule book, of course. Whatever about the rules, I think the players prefer to do things their own way. And certainly, you have to say, they all look really neat and tidy. Thankfully, Anthony Cunningham is back, as you see, rejoining the parade. There he is, taking up his place, third from bottom. After a convention in Cork last year, the GAA decided to tidy up its image where the parade was concerned and instructed its players to tuck in the jerseys and pull up the socks. Galway for the races, Kilkenny for the All-Ireland. That's what the tipsters certainly have said so far. Kilkenny, the overwhelming favourites to win this match. So it'll be Kilkenny who will play from left to right in the first half. Little or no breeze at all around Semple Stadium. There's the Killiney end. There's Lester Ryan, one of the scoring sensations of the year so far for Kilkenny. He'll be top of the right. In the middle of the field for Kilkenny, of course, a marvellous duo of Richie Power and Ger Fennelly. They've been so dominant so far. I wonder, can Steve Mahon and Tony Kilkenny break that up? And before the match, there's going to be a minute's silence for Pat Vaughan from Crusheen in County Clare, who has just died. In case you have joined us late, the minor result resulted in a victory for Offaly, who beat Galway by 3-13 to 2-10, and so the Offaly minor hurlers are in the All-Ireland final for the very first time ever. Agus Anish, beg out on the Vienna going. Oh, Banachol na Biabari. Straight away, it seems that Galway have made changes. Sylvie Linnane is full-back. Conor Hayes is right corner-back. Sylvie Linnane marking Liam Fennelly. And Joe Cooney is full forward. Pierce Piggott is playing on the 40. So dramatic switches by Galway before the match has started at all. Terence Murray throws the ball in, and so on Hurling's penultimate day for the championship, it's Galway who play into the goal on our left. Here's Steve Mahon. Half block down. Richie Power in towards Liam Fennelly, being marked by Sylvie Linnane. The first scramble for possession as Sylvie kicks it out to Tony Kilkenny. On a dampish afternoon here at Semple Stadium, but there's a great atmosphere about and the expectation of a great game of hurling. It's a little bit untidy early on. That's Pat Welch. Again, it's Steve Mahon who steps into the breach. Christy Heffernan half blocking it down. Comes to Ger Fennelly. Christy Heffernan adding to it down towards Liam Fennelly as Kilkenny look for an opening score. Liam Fennelly is fouled by Sylvie Linnane about 30 metres out from goal. Every indication that this match is going to be quite tough as Sylvie Linnane has his name taken. Amazingly, he's booked after just a minute's play. So a chance for Kilkenny to take the lead. Ger Fennelly will be the free taker as John Commons waits. And Kilkenny have gone in front. Ger Fennelly has scored 6 points in the league final, 5 of them from frees, gives his side the lead. Pierce Pickett, of course, the man who was marking Ger Fennelly. So switches all over the place in this Galway team. Switches in defence, switches in attack. Let's see, will it upset their rhythm? No Lane. And the referee says that No Lane is holding Paddy Prendergast and he's giving the free out to Kilkenny. Well, it was a real old tussle between the two. Paddy Prendergast clearly shaken that time. So it's a free against the Galway captain. And just to take a quick recheck on where everybody is playing, Galway playing with 2 players in the full forward line, as it were. And they are Noel Lane and Joe Cooney. And then there's about 4 players, it seems, all vying for possession in midfield. Kevin Fennelly's free, swinging it wide towards the far side. Knocked on by Kieran Brennan towards Liam Fennelly. That's Tony Keady. Up towards Brendan Linsky. And an elbow that time on Brendan Linsky. Free to Galway. And it's interesting that Joe Cooney is the man who's come out to take the free, even though he's been selected, it seems, to play on the fringe of the square. Well, he's put it wide. Galway's first wide of the afternoon. Christy Heffernan breaks it down, intended for Ger Fennelly. Tony Kilkenny upfield towards Noel Lane. Here's Brendan Linsky. A good positive run by Brendan Linsky. Outside him he had Steve Mahon, but he's delayed too long. And that path to goal was seen by the Kilkenny defence. Here's Pierce Pickett, 65 metres out from the Kilkenny goal. Fouled in possession by Richie Power and a free into Galway. Can Joe Cooney put the sides on level terms? It looks good, it's a point. It's Galway 1 point, Kilkenny 1 point. 5 minutes gone, and every indication that this is going to be very close. Tony Kilkenny was the one who got it down, but it's Richie Power who drives it forward towards Harry Ryan. Comes off the defender. Out to Christy Heffernan. That's 65 metres out, but had an angle from the Galway goal. Kieran Brennan here. Inside for Harry Ryan. There's space in front of him. He pushes it over the bar. Kilkenny re-establish their lead. Harry Ryan, thankfully back after injury, salutes that good pass. And a good point from Harry Ryan in the end. Referee down having a word with one of his umpires. Falling across, it seems, Sylvie Linnane, or not Sylvie Linnane, but Ollie Kilkenny rather. And Lester Ryan just warns them as to their future conduct. John Commons pucks out. As we say, there's little or no breeze to influence matters. Ger Henderson tearing it downfield, and John Commons nurses it over the end line. John Commons from Gort, the Galway goalkeeper, something of a controversial choice. Sean Fennelly swings at it. It's Ger Henderson, who reads the game so well, always prepared to cover for his wing-backs. Peter Finnerty here, getting ready to take the sideline ball. An all-star, of course, as a result of two very good matches in particular last season in the championship, and thankfully back to his best form. Puts it up towards Brendan Linsky. Joe Cooney touches it on. This is Joe Cooney. Got Galway's point. That's taken well by the goalkeeper Kevin Fennelly. That has been a whole string of impressive saves right throughout this year's championship. Ollie Kilkenny. 40 metres out. Pierce Piggott to Joe Cooney. To Noel Lane as Galway come looking for a goal. But that ball ran unkindly for him. And it's Sean Fennelly who gets it out, but only as far as Joe Cooney, putting his defence right into trouble. Noel Lane should be a goal. Galway get the vital breaks after 8 minutes. When they seem to have gotten themselves out of trouble, they put themselves right back into trouble with a poor pass to Joe Cooney, who found the unmarked Noel Lane, who hand-passed it wide of the goalkeeper and into the corner. That's the vital break of the match for Galway, the match goal that they have wanted. A free out to Galway for a bit of holding. So that goal now means that Galway are 2 points in front. 4 points to 2, or a goal and a point. Ollie Kilkenny, he was the one who set up that goal, of course, with the fine run through the middle. Paddy Prendergast is beaten, and here's Joe Cooney again. Now, can they take their chances? It comes to Anthony Cunningham. And another very good score, a point this time. Anthony Cunningham increasing Galway's lead. So they lead now by a clear goal. Once again, you have to wonder what's happening in the Kilkenny defence. Perhaps we should credit the switches that Galway made before the match in drawing Frank Houlihan out of the back three, as it were, leaving Kilkenny with just 2 players in front of their goalkeeper and thereby exposing themselves to all kinds of dangers. It's going to be an intriguing battle, this. Steve Mahan, again laying it out wide for Joe Cooney, who's got plenty of legs to run, a very fit player. No Lane, Paddy Prendergast, and the free is into Galway. And again, Paddy Prendergast is in the wars. And the referee quite adamant. The foul was on the Galway man, free in. So this player here, Joe Cooney, who's only 21, has made quite a contribution so far. He hits the post this time, however. It's been an old failing with Galway, the need for a regular free taker who can put over the points with regular ease. Martin Naughton picked on the right-hand side, but clearly playing on the left. Drilling it across towards Tony Kilkenny, knocked out by Ger Henderson, but only as far as Steve Mahon, who's in the middle of the field, trying to keep the momentum of the attack going. Even Joe Hennessy is beaten this time. Steve Mahon kept driving forward, but it's wide. Galway's second wide. And between the free hitting the post and that shot there by Steve Mahon, they really should have got something out of it. Pat Henderson has just switched Paddy Prendergast out to the half line. And it's Frank Houlihan and John Henderson who are now the full back line, as it were. Liam Fennelly. Well, not Liam Fennelly, Ger Fennelly. Here's Christy Heffernan. Very near the end line. Tony Keady. That'll be a Galway bowler, will it? Yes, the linesman signals. But that will be a Galway stroke. So Ollie Kilkenny, the free taker. Here's Paddy Prendergast now operating on the half line. But outnumbered, and Steve Mahon drives it forward to Joe Cooney. The pass was intended for Anthony Cunningham, but it's easily picked up by John Henderson. Conor Hayes out of position, playing at right corner back, will remind you. It's Sylvie Linnane operating at full-back. Switches made by Galway before the start of the match. Brendan Linsky opening up the play every time with that sweeping right-hand pass for Joe Cooney. Steve Mahon. Brendan Linsky. What's happening to Kilkenny? Martin Naughton. Advantage played and the point. That was a good advantage as Martin Naughton strung over the point. And there's the position. Galway, the clear-cut leaders. Now Brendan Linsky needs attention. He was fouled as he played that ball wide to Martin Naughton. And the referee, right up with the play, allowed an advantage. We just take a look at that incident one more time. Here's Brendan Linsky now. Now watch as he was challenged. A shoulder straight into the ribs. Martin Naughton got the loose ball. And the referee will also take some of the credit for allowing a good advantage. So Linsky, strong man that he is back in the fray. So 1-3 to 2 points the position. Galway the leaders. Sean Fennelly towards Harry Ryan. It's batted down by Conor Hayes, but only as far as Kieran Brennan. Trying to make an angle for himself, a very nippy player. Very awkward angle, what a great point. One of the best scores so far, scored by Kieran Brennan. And the Connacht Shamrocks man shows that he's back to his best form. So the difference once again is just a goal. Ger Henderson, Joe Hennessy to help him, and the referee saw that there was a knockdown, a dangerous knockdown by a Hurley, and he's given the free to Kilkenny. Ollie Kilkenny for Galway. It's a little bit confusing at times. Lester Ryan finding that there's almost no space at all in there. This is a very determined Galway team. A free out for holding. And Ollie Kilkenny here has done a lot of good work so far. The 24-year-old going back now to mark Lester Ryan. Tony Keady, who's Galway's long-range free taker, trying to pick out Noel Lane. Frank Houlihan is the player who's now marking Noel Lane. Paddy Prendergast, no marking at all. Joe Hennessy quite unmarked for just a moment at least. To round Brendan Linsky, and a good recovery challenge by Linsky. It gives away the line ball to Kilkenny, but it stops Joe Hennessy's progress. A player who always plays with a smile on his face is Joe Hennessy, and always enjoys his game. Ger Fennelly, the line ball taker. Tony Keady bats it out to the unmarked Anthony Cunningham. It's interesting the amount of running that the Galway forwards are prepared to do to make passes easy for the backs. No Lane, that time chopped from behind, and the referee will have a word with Frank Houlihan. The tough, uncompromising defender moves back into his position, but it's a free into Galway. "17 minutes gone in the first half. Joe Cooney, the free taker. And he's put it wide. And Galway have now missed 3 chances. And that's the second free that Joe Cooney has put astray. The loose ball down to Ger Fennelly. To Liam Fennelly, his brother. First chance he's got so far. But it's wide. Kilkenny with minimum possession so far. Brendan Linsky one-handed trying to touch it on. It's all Galway in the forward line so far. And he's put it very, very wide indeed. And that must go down as a bad miss. They've had a lot of possession, as we say. They're running very freely so far. But that can only last for a limited amount of time, of course. And when you put over wide after wide, it can sap the encouragement. Just a goal in it. Galway the leaders. Conor Hayes, an All-Ireland winner in 1980. Peter Finnerty, delightfully forward towards Noel Lane. He can get inside the defence. Frank Houlihan, and it's Kevin Fennelly, the goalkeeper, once again stepping into the breach. And the referee has noted that Brendan Linsky has been knocked to the ground. Play continues at the other end, but it won't matter. The referee has whistled up the play. He's going in and he's speaking to Kevin Fennelly about that. The referee will, I think, take the name of Kevin Fennelly for a dangerous late challenge. We may be able to see it once again. This was Fennelly stopping that last attack. Now look at what happened next. Linsky's the one on the right. Noel Lane tried to make the sandwich, it must be said. Now there was the follow through. Well, we just don't see anything from that picture, I'm afraid. Terence Murray wants Phelan Murphy and Cyril Farrell off. 2 of the Galway selectors. Joe Cooney hits over his second free of the afternoon, having missed 2 earlier. But he increases Galway's lead. So that is the position. Galway ahead by a goal and a point. And Kilkenny are getting ready to make a change. Things are going drastically wrong for Kilkenny, and they want to bring in John Mulcahy. Ger Henderson trying to get his forwards moving. They've been out of touch so far. Here's Tony Keady. Christy Heffernan half blocking that one down. Keady once again in the midst of the defence for Galway. And that one's gone wide. And here's John Mulcahy, something of a super sub. Came on in the league final, scored one and made another. Now, can he do something similar on the day of the All-Ireland hurling semi-final? We wait to see who's gone off. And it's Paddy Prendergast who's going off. The strong-hearted man from Clara, realising that this was just not his day. So Kilkenny ring the changes after 21 minutes. But it's Galway who are again on the attack. No lane. And the point. This is some marvellous hurling from Galway. That's a goal and a point that No Lane has now contributed. So 1-5 for Galway, 3 points for Kilkenny. And it's the Galway supporters here at Semple Stadium who are singing the names of their heroes, delighted with the way things have gone so far. They certainly look the fresher team, but it's a long, long way to go in a championship match. 70 minutes in all, as Brendan Linsky has that foul called against him. Pierce Spiggott was far too near the ball, and the referee will have a quick word with him. He should have been 20 metres back, and another player is knocked to the ground, Brendan Linsky, again in the wars. It's turning nasty. Ger Henderson, the player who's going to have his name taken. So that's a player from each of the teams booked so far. Let's just hope that a bit of common sense will prevail here, because it had the makings of a very, very good game indeed. Ger Henderson to John Mulcahy, blocked down by Anthony Cunningham. He gets the second chance, fouled as he was carrying it forward, and the free into Kilkenny. Martin Naughton looking that time at John Mulcahy. And a look of displeasure, I think we could say, on his face. Ger Fennelly's free, and he puts it over the bar. A point that Kilkenny have needed because they've been out of it for a while. That's his second score. So, Galway leading by double scores. Tony Kilkenny walloping into that one. Here's Martin Naughton, a real ball carrier, giving Joe Hennessy a very, very testing time. No lane here. Leading the Kilkenny defence a merry dance, but it really comes to nothing. And it's Ger Fennelly who swings it away to the far side towards Kieran Brennan. And that went off Kieran Brennan's stick. That'll be a Galway ball. The pace of this game from a Galway point of view is really very interesting, because of course they've been psyching themselves up for at least 3 months for this match since the league final. This in a way is their All-Ireland final. Joe Cooney lets it behind to Brendan Linsky, but there was a bit of holding and a free out to Kilkenny. And what a pity there's so much of this pulling and dragging. We can't really blame the conditions, because while it was damp and there's a damp feel about Semple Stadium, it isn't raining by any means, and the pitch, while heavy, is in very good condition. Kevin Fennelly is jeered because of an earlier incident. Here's Christy Heffernan getting away from Tony Keady for once, but the whistle has gone. The referee not allowing an advantage, and that's going to be a free into Kilkenny. Now, Galway having started so well, perhaps there should be a few points more ahead at this stage. But the fact is, there are just 4 points between the teams, and if they now start making the errors in defence, this man here, Ger Fennelly, will penalise them. With points like that, his third. So now, just a goal in it again. Steve Mahon has been very influential in midfield. That ball knocked forward by Pierce Spiggott to Joe Cooney, to the on-running Anthony Cunningham. Must be a goal. It's there. It's Galway's second goal, and Anthony Cunningham has got it. 26 minutes of the first half gone, and the passing was perfect. The defence was in chaos, and it touched, I think, Frank Houlihan, and did. That might even go as an own goal to Frank Houlihan, because I think it touched his stick on the way in. Kilkenny reply with a wide from Ger Fennelly, their fourth of the match. Just when they seem to be getting right back into it, they're rocked yet again by a Galway goal. Just hear the chants of Galway, Galway. Galway, of course, always regarding Kilkenny as very much their bogey team, having been beaten by Kilkenny in 2 All-Ireland finals, 2 Oireachtas finals, and this year's Ford National League final. But today they're giving as good as they're getting, and perhaps a little bit more. Ger Henderson. It's up to Kilkenny now to re-establish the rhythm that they showed us in the league and in the Leinster Championship. That has not happened so far, because we haven't seen the dominance, I think, of Richie Power in particular, and Ger Fennelly in midfield. And their forwards have failed to get any kind of loose ball from the tight-marking Galway defence. John Mulcahy sideline cut. It's an amazingly long ball, but he's put it wide. That was from about 65 metres out on the sideline and only inches wide. So 7 minutes to go to half-time as Ger Henderson produces that fine catch. The indomitable Ger Henderson at centre half back. A puzzled expression on the face of Brendan Linsky, but the free to Ger Fennelly of Kilkenny, who are trailing by 2 goals. John Commons had to be sharp with Lester Ryan breathing down his neck. Peter Finnerty completes the clearance. That was so very nearly a Kilkenny goal, and this man made a very good save. John Commons, the goalkeeper from Gort. John Mulcahy once again. Remember what happened the last sideline ball. This is every bit as good. It's a bit like a golfer off a 2-iron. But once again, it fails to yield the desired result. Kilkenny have now got 6 wides from the opening 29 minutes of this match. John Mulcahy rifling it in towards Kieran Brennan. Mulcahy seems to be playing in midfield, marking Tony Kilkenny. That's Steve Mahon, the other Galway midfielder. Sean Fennelly stemming the tide. And Harry Ryan unable to keep that in play. There's a switch on the Kilkenny forward line. Liam Fennelly is now playing centre half forward. Christy Heffernan is now playing full forward. Kieran Brennan, but that's out over the sideline. And we note also that Sylvie Linnane has now moved out to his more accustomed position of right corner back. And it's Conor Hayes who's manning the full-back line, marking Christie. Steve Mahan's sideline cut. Brendan Linsky cutting it out. Pierce Piggott. Deliciously in for Noel Lane, batted down by Frank Coolhan. Sean Fennell is there to help Kilkenny, but out as far as Brendan Linsky once again for Galway. Into the arms of the goalkeeper Kevin Fennelly and away, out of danger. Jerry McInerney of Galway has kept a tight rein so far on Pat Welch, but it's John Mulcahy looking very lively. Towards Christy Heffernan, knocked out, but back into Harry Ryan. Away by Sylvie Linnane, who's playing at right corner back at the moment. It's real manly stuff, this. No place for the faint-hearted. John Henderson beaten this time, and it comes to Anthony Cunningham, and he drives it straight over the bar. A goal and 2 points. Anthony Cunningham has now got for Galway, the man who captained them to their only minor All-Ireland success 3 years ago. So who would have believed this? Everyone expecting, of course, that Kilkenny would get a big fight, but nobody expected them to be this far adrift at this stage. Tony Keady trying to press home the Galway advantage to Tony Kilkenny. Another point. Things are going splendidly for Galway. They've owned the first half, no question about that. And there are just 2-3 minutes to go to the half-time break. Just in case your mathematics aren't all that terribly great where hurling's concerned, Kilkenny, would you believe it, are trailing at the moment by 8 points. 2 goals and 2 points behind. The injured player here just can't quite see who it is at the moment. It's happened on Jerry McInerney's wing. I wonder if he's the player who's involved. Seems to be, in fact. Or it's Tony Kilkenny. Tony Kilkenny, who's played his heart out for Galway so far. Tony Keady gets a word of instruction from Cyril Farrell, his manager. The free is 65 minutes out from his own goal. Again, it's aimed in towards Joe Cooney, who's been a thorn in the Kilkenny defence, but that pass overhit. And that's Galway's 5th wide. Comes to Tony Kilkenny once again, happily recovered from the injury. Ger Fennelly. Richie Power, what's become of the Kilkenny midfield so far? Here's Liam Fennelly. So fast to turn, full of pace and invention. A great scorer when he gets through, but that time stopped by Peter Finnerty. It comes back out, however, to John Mulcahy. Half blocked down by Jerry McInerney from Galway. Ger Fennelly was pushing up on it, but it's Tony Keady who steps once again into the centre of the action. To Joe Cooney. What a lovely pass forward for Anthony Cunningham. The angle perhaps a little bit too great at this stage. Sean Fennelly trying to get in some kind of a tackle. To Joe Cooney again. It's wide, but one of the nicest attacks of the match so far from a Galway point of view. Once again, it exposes the gaps that we've seen all afternoon in the Kilkenny defence. Well, you've got to credit the Galway backroom team with having done their work, because the switches they made before the match certainly seem to have paid off. They have certainly caught Kilkenny on the hop in the first half. There's 35 minutes still to go, of course, and anything can happen. Peter Finnerty sees Sylvie Linnane coming to his aid. Pierce Piggott, he was never going to play full forward. He was always going to operate somewhere in the middle. Jeff Fennelly gets back. There was a push in any case. Pierce Piggott has played just about everywhere bar goalkeeper for Galway. Here's John Mulcahy. Can he make the difference towards Lester Ryan, who's been conspicuously quiet? Marked, interestingly enough, by Ollie Kilkenny, even though Kilkenny, it seemed, had been picked to play on the other wing. And the referee blows for half-time. A half that was all Galway's. A half full of inventive hurling, full of sparkle, full of the championship flair. And it's Galway who go in leading by 2 goals and 7 points to Kilkenny's 5 points. Who would believe it? Will Galway make it to a second successive All-Ireland final? Or is there a Kilkenny response? We shall see right after this break.
To give your fields those extra years, here's one you can rely on. Go straight for net, the rest forget. Your stock will soon be thriving. Net application is the name of the game. Intensification will be your game. Spread the net, you won't regret. Great silage you'll be storing. Go straight for net, rich crops you'll get. Net nitrate, net urea.
Spread the word. Net is the brand. The new Ford Granada with anti-lock braking system as standard. Ford's anti-lock braking system enables steering.
5 points, that's the situation at half-time. Thurles will be going back, of course, for the second half of that match shortly. We're talking to the panel about that first half in just a moment. Before we do that, though, let me give you the half-time scoreline at Croke Park in the other All-Ireland semi-final today, Cork versus Antrim. The scoreline there, Cork 4-7 at half-time, Antrim 17 points. And let me work that out for you. That's Cork 19 points to Antrim 17. So an interesting second half ahead of Cork in that semi-final, I should think. However, the game that we're concentrating here is the game at Thurles between Galway and Kilkenny. Ger Canning said just before he went to the half-time break there, Eamon, who would have believed it at half-time and who indeed would? I'm sure you didn't.
That's true. It has surprised me, no doubt about that. There are still 35 minutes left in the second half. Kilkenny went out there extremely favourites, you know, favourites to win easily. And they met a Galway defence and Galway team that was going to dive for Galway today. Galway did something that nobody else has done this year. They have opened up the Kilkenny defence. And as Dermot and we were commenting there during the game, Galway are only playing 2 full forwards. So that's leaving acres of space. And they have young lads that are able to run. And this is what has happened. They're running the Kilkenny backline, which has opened up the Kilkenny backs.
Well, Eamon, beside you is Dave Burney, the former Wexford player. Dave, not exactly a dirty first half, but nothing asked and nothing given for sure.
No, it has been really a tough struggle so far. Galway have taken the game to Kilkenny. They are dominating things at the moment. They took Pierce Piggott. We all wondered what was happening when Cyril Farrell and Bernie O'Connor placed Pierce Piggott at full forward. But I think we realised from the start that Pierce Piggott was going to be a third midfielder. They have taken the game to Kilkenny. They have controlled the middle of the field. Their half back line and full back line are completely on top. And Joe Cooney is devastating in the full forward line.
Well, Dermot Healy, the Offaly manager, let's expand that now just a little bit, because we had been expecting changes by Galway at the start of the match, as Dave said. Now, were you surprised that Kilkenny allowed themselves to be so totally confused so early into the game by the way Galway suddenly fired the whole game all over the place in terms of the tactical aspect of it?
Yeah, both from the tactical aspect and from their attitude. From the tactical aspect, like obviously to us, they made the changes in the dressing room. They didn't. They had been training that way for the last fortnight, Galway had. So to them, Galway were used to that. Just total surprise to Kilkenny, I would presume. And the Galway attitude, they're far more highly motivated today than Kilkenny are, and it's showing on the field. They're hungry for possession. They seem far fresher than Kilkenny. I think the big question mark in the second half is, will Kilkenny, can Galway sustain that effort? If they can, Kilkenny are in trouble. The second aspect is Kilkenny have been training since last Christmas. Will this rebound on them now, and will they be able to finish the game strongly? But I still think that a 7-point lead is a dangerous lead. If that begins to slip in Galway, they can panic, and if it'll inspire Kilkenny. So the game is wide open.
Well, Kilkenny got the first score of the game, but really the big break in the match, Eamon, came after 7 minutes, and this, of course, was the Galway goal, Noel Lane's goal, and that really set them on their way.
That's true. We'll just see it here. Tony Kilkenny, or Ali Kilkenny there at left cornerback, hits the ball to Pierce Piggott. He sends in a lobbing ball, a terrible ball for the full forward line. But Noel Lane contests it. There's a lot of foostering and fooling around going on inside there. Joe Cooney gets the ball. He's surrounded by 3 Kilkenny men. Hand passes to Noel Lane. And the goalie has to come off his line to try and block the ball. Now, that was bad defensive play by Kilkenny. They should never have allowed Joe Cooney get the ball. They should never have allowed him to hand pass it into Noel Lane.
Have a look at it again, Eamon, and as you said here, the goalie man getting through the 3 Kilkenny defenders.
Yeah, and then he hand passes it to Noel Lane, who's on his own, with no one within an ass's roar of him, and hand passes the ball casually past the goalkeeper. Now, that was very bad defensive play by Kilkenny. But again, this is where Kilkenny had been upset by the Galway tactics, and they were generally flustered. Simple as that.
Well, Dave, what now can you see Kilkenny doing in the second half to retrieve this situation? What changes might you see them make?
Well, against Wexford, they were 10 points ahead at one stage, and as I said earlier, they didn't panic. I don't think they're going to panic today either. They will keep plugging away. They will have a chat at half-time, and Pat Henderson and his backroom team will have things fairly well sorted out. I'm sure they will make 1 or 2 switches, but I think what they have got to do is get the ball into their forward line. This is a very good Kilkenny forward line, but no matter how good they are, if they're not getting possession, there's very little they can do. And they haven't been getting possession there today.
I like the way you say they'll have a chat at half-time. I'd like to be a fly on the wall in the Kilkenny dressing room at half-time, Dermot Healy. Let's take a look at Galway's second goal, because this was also a vital one to them, because they weren't making full use of their possession until they got this break from Anthony Cunningham.
Yes, both goals actually were hand pass goals, and that was very well taken. He had 2 men to beat, and he didn't panic. He picked his spot and ended up in the net.
Mind you, I thought at the same time, Dermot, that he took a little bit of a chance, because he had a chance to swing the hurley here, and he just about scraped it past Fennelly.
He just about. It's a ball that should have been saved, because he was a good bit out from the goal. So, it was a chance. Luckily for him, it went in. Unfortunately for Kevin Fennelly, it went in, but that was a chance he took.
So then, Dermot, Galway leading at half-time. Prediction on the second half, briefly?
Galway have done an awful lot of running and hurling in the first half. The first quarter of that half, they didn't get the results from their efforts. They did in the second part of it. If they can sustain that, they're there with a good chance, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Kilkenny will come back into the game.
Dave, can you see Galway holding on?
Well, Galway have given an awful lot in the first half. They have been in top gear right from the start, and they will have to be very fit, and they can't afford to lose concentration. But certainly if they lose concentration, if they make any mistakes, they will be exploited by Kilkenny.
Eamon, you going to change your mind at this stage?
No, I'm not going to change my mind. I think, as Dermot has said, Galway have got to keep that up for 35 minutes. They can't afford any mistakes. Kilkenny are patient, they'll take their time, and they could possibly come back.
All right, gentlemen, will we wait to see what happens in the second half? That second half due to begin right now. So let's go back to Thurles and Ger Canning.
Terence Murray from Limerick is standing by, just making sure that everybody's outside the 65-metre line. Second half is underway. Incidentally, this is the 20th meeting of these teams in the semi-final. Of course, Kilkenny with a marvellous record, having won 15. Galway with just 4 wins against Kilkenny at this stage of the competition. Martin Naughton got 1 point in that first half in towards Joe Cooney, who was a thorn in the Kilkenny defence for Noel Lane, where he got a brilliant goal from this angle last season. Joe Cooney, what a start! That has come after 25 seconds. Joe Cooney got that pass from Noel Lane. Anthony Cunningham was calling for it just outside the square. Lane got that one batted back to him, and Joe Cooney drove it in past the keeper. What a sparkling start to the second half from a Galway point of view. now means there are 11 points between the teams. And when was the Kilkenny team in the championship last behind by 11 points? I can recall them being behind by 9 points at one stage in another Leinster championship match, but never behind by 11. So it's really putting it up to them. Martin Naughton here. Galway, of course, are the younger team. 4 under-21s, 2 just out of under-21 grade. They're going to be the fresher team, I think. And Sean Fennelly and Martin Naughton getting involved in a little altercation there. Sean Fennelly takes the punishment, and the referee writes the name of Martin Naughton into his book. So now the tally is 2 players from Kilkenny, 2 players from Galway in Terence Murray's black notebook. Kevin Fennelly has come 45 metres out from his own goal to take this free. Knocked out by Jerry McInerney to Anthony Cunningham, who's operating around the middle of the field, who spotted Kevin Fennelly nearly off his line, about 6 yards off his line, in fact. And that'll be a free out to Kilkenny for a dangerous challenge by Joe Cooney. Nice bit of vision that was by Anthony Cunningham, spotting Kevin Fennelly off his line, who seems to hit that ball with an almighty belt. Gives it everything. Well, Kilkenny will have to give it everything if they're to get back into this match. Here's Christy Heffernan trying to find Ger Fennelly, who finds Harry Ryan, John Mulcahy rather, and Mulcahy puts it over the bar. A rapid response from Kilkenny, but they need a lot more than that 1 point. A long way to go, and they're 10 points adrift. Martin Naughton again, who's been enjoying a lot of success over on that left wing against Joe Hennessy. Brendan Linsky, who took a lot of punishment in the first half. Noel Lane. Frank Houlihan battling with John Henderson. Here's Ger Henderson, defusing the danger. Picked up again by Pierce Piggott. Piggott, the third midfielder, was going into the challenge that time with his hurley too high. The referee quite correctly awards the free to Kilkenny. This is just inside their own 65-metre line. 32-year-old Ger Fennelly is the taker. Towards his brother Liam, came off his chest to Sylvie Linane, out towards Richie Power. Sylvie Linane again. The man who stops the danger. Here's Conor Hayes. Had a very good first half, so too Tony Kilkenny. John Henderson. Pierce Piggott in midfield. Towards Brendan Linsky. John Henderson, the fullback. Here's John Mulcahy. Nobody's picking him up. Really lashes that ball forward. Liam Fennelly to Harry Ryan. Ryan looking for a goal, but he's settled for a point. It's only his second score. He got Kilkenny's first point of the match. And so 3 clear goals now the difference. Steve Mahon. And Steve taking more than the 4 steps allowed. Swinging around that time, and so free to Kilkenny. Ger Fennelly, the free taker. Ger, who's won 8 All-Ireland medals from minor to senior, club and county level so far. Wondering if he'll get a 9th this year. He's put it wide. prone to the odd lapse, but usually deadly accurate. Joe Hennessy. Jerry McInerney, man from Kinvara, picking up Steve Mahon as he turns around. There's the shot, and that's the point. Galway are now playing like champions. They lead by 3 goals and a point, and that's 7 minutes into the second half. Richie Parr takes that one well, was fouled as he did so. The referee has a quick word with Steve Mahon. These Galway players so determined to do well in this match. They've threatened so often to win championships since 1975, when they burst on the scene with a league championship success and an appearance in the All-Ireland final. Johnny Cudahy there, the medical man with Kilkenny, attends to Richie Parr. Very shortly, as we watch that shot go wide, very shortly, Kilkenny may be about to bring on another sub. Joe O'Hara looks to be the player they're bringing in. If that will happen in just a moment. There he is, number 20, who played in the league final. He's replacing Pat Welch. So it's a right winger for a right winger. Pat Welch from Wingap comes off. Beautifully taken up by Joe Cooney, but Anthony Cunningham took his eye off it, and John Henderson not taking any prisoners, whipping into it first time. The clash of the ash resounds all over Semple Stadium. An over-robust challenge by Brendan Linsky on Ger Henderson. Brendan Linsky was only about 4 yards away from Ger Henderson when he took that free. Needlessly now he has given possession back to Kilkenny, and a free from a more advantageous position. So instead of the free being 65 metres out from the Kilkenny goal, it's now 65 metres out from the Galway goal. Lester Ryan is the free taker. John Commons takes it cleanly. That's the second good catch he's made in the match, and he's grateful to see that one go off Liam Fennelly's stick and out over the end line. There's a good deal of speculation indeed that Peter Murphy might get the number 1 shirt for Galway in this game, but the selectors instead have opted for John Commons, who played in the match against Kerry. Joe Henderson under it again, beautifully taken down with the left to Richie Parr. To the struggling Joe O'Hara, and Jerry McInerney here from Kinvara has been superb at left half back. Stopped, however, by Ger Henderson. The other centre half back once again proves that he's every bit as indomitable. Tony Keady. And it goes wide despite the best efforts of Joe Cooney to keep it in play. That's good centre-half-back play by Tony Keady. A kind of inspiring move that can raise up the spirits of a flagging team. Galway must be getting tired at this stage, having extended themselves so much. But they're the younger side. The next 25 minutes is going to be very, very interesting. A push on John Mulcahy. Combination of Ollie Kilkenny and Tony Keady. Free in for Kilkenny. That's for the Kilkenny team, that is. So John Mulcahy surveys the angle. He's about 10 metres in from the near sideline, 50 metres out from goal. And nicely judged. John Mulcahy's second score. So now the position is Kilkenny behind by 3 goals once again. The this game would really take off in a big way now, I feel, if Kilkenny could maybe get a vital goal. But Galway fighting for every little break that's going in the match, and full credit to them. Joe Cooney towards Anthony Cunningham, his partner on the minor team 3 years ago. And that's a lovely combination and a delightful score from Cunningham. A goal and 3 points is his afternoon's tally so far. A very good evening's work. Once again, the chants of Galway, Galway resound in Semple Stadium. And it's Anthony Cunningham who seems to be coming of age in this match in a very big way. A player of great promise in the past, but now he's realising that promise. Back there helping out the defence, Lester Ryan. Hasn't had much leeway up on the forward line. He's now only about 50 metres, 45 metres out from his own goal, taking the sideline ball indeed. The referee wants it taken again. Last time, of course, that Kilkenny and Galway met in an All-Ireland semi-final was 4 years ago, and the Cats won that by 10 points. Right now, the Cats are behind by 10 points. Pat Henderson with a word for Sean Fennelly. John Mulcahy's sideline cut, beautifully cut up once again towards Christy Heffernan. Heffernan was being pushed by Tony Kilkenny, and that's a free in. So once again, the free taker will be John Mulcahy, and that's the 45-metre line there just next to him. Drives it low. Kilkenny are looking for goals. They need goals. But it's Steve Mahon who's back there augmenting his defence to take it clear from danger. Joe O'Hara gets in the challenge, but Steve Mahon playing a great game for Galway, down towards Brendan Linsky. Henderson again trying to search out Christy Heffernan, but that hasn't been too easy this afternoon. That's Jerry McNamara from Galway. Jerry McInerney Rother to Martin Naughton. Evan Fennelly beaten by the Galway attack for 3 goals so far, but not given a lot of cover, it must be said. Anthony Cunningham down towards the 2-man attack. No Lane and Joe Cooney. Cooney looking for goal number 4. This is amazing. It's a sensational turnabout, that has to be said. 4 goals. Joe Cooney's first. Once again, the defence is in tatters. He rounded the keeper, and the eye was perfect, so was the shot. They are rejoicing up there on the hill behind the goal. What a position to be in, leading by 4 goals and a point. And it seems to be Brendan Linsky, the player who once again is shipping the punishment in there. Bernie O'Connor, one of the 3 wise men who have done so well in guiding the fortunes of this Kilkenny team. Lester Ryan has his name taken, it seems. So that's 5 players with their names taken. So the position, 15 minutes gone in the second half. That means 20 minutes to go. Kilkenny, the hottest favourites ever, I suppose. Even though people expected that Galway would make it tough for them. Trailing by 13 points. Brendan Linsky once again receives attention from the doctor. He's back in the fray. It'll take more than a belt in the mouth to keep Brendan Linsky down. And the doctor has done her work. Tony Keady now, can he launch another attack for Galway? Kevin Fennelly must be wondering just what's hit him this afternoon. Steve Mahan drives it back, says, take that. And the defence almost once again in getting in one another's way. But there was a bit of holding as Kevin Fennelly was making his way out from goal. A man who makes many spectacular clearances for Kilkenny in Ollie Walsh and Nolskian fashion. Ger Fennelly. Well, whatever kind of plans Kilkenny made coming out for the second half, they must really be rocked back on their heels at this stage. That first goal coming after 25 seconds, and that fourth goal of the match, which came just a moment or so ago, has really sent them back. Frank Houlihan, their captain, tried to keep them going. Lester Ryan. And that's no lane back there. The Galway captain, 45 metres out from his own goal, but conceding the free. Terence Murray from Limerick has been right up with the play right throughout the game. It hasn't been the easiest of match to referee at times, getting quite physical on occasions. John Mulcahy. Point here will mean there's 4 goals between the teams again. That's the position. It scarcely raises a cheer. Kilkenny have 17 minutes in which to do something about their All-Ireland Championship title hopes. Peter Finnerty. Ger Fennelly. Joe Hennessy. Here's Christy Heffernan. It's nice combined play. Now can it be productive? Towards Harry Ryan, Ollie Kilkenny and Jerry McInerney in there. It's McInerney who sweeps it across this near side of the field. Kieran Brennan and Lester Ryan are there. Here's Kieran Brennan. That's gone wide. I think most of the crowd thought it had gone over the bar, probably including Kieran Brennan. Certainly at this stage, one could nearly safely say that Galway have killed off that bogey that Kilkenny seem to have on them. Not just killed it off, but they have well and truly buried it, I should think. But they'll have to sustain the effort for another 16 minutes. Ger Henderson and Brendan Linsky not having exactly the friendliest of afternoons. And the latest position, Cork ahead at Croke Park. 6-9 to 18 points. John Mulcahy. Here's Peter Finnerty. Tackled after the ball was released, but the referee says we'll play an advantage. It isn't an advantage as it happens. Christy Heffernan. We haven't really seen enough of Christy Heffernan letting the ball into the full forward line on the 40. Maybe at the 3rd or 4th attempt he'll get it in. Towards Liam Fennelly, who's been well marshalled by Sylvie Linane. Now here's Liam Fennelly. Kilkenny so badly needing a goal. The match needing a goal. Steve Mahan kicks it out to Lester Ryan. Richie Power. Can he give them the score they need? It's stopped on the line by John Commons and it's gone for a 65. And I do believe that's the first 65 in the match we've had so far. And it's come 20 minutes into the second half. Ger Henderson is ready to take it. There's no room for dillying or dallying at this stage. Towards Richie Power. Knocked out by Steve Mahan. Sean Fennelly. Christy Heffernan's in under it. So too Kieran Brennan, but it was Sylvie Linane who got it out to Jerry McInerney. He's playing a great game, dancing around the tackles, inviting the foul and winning the free. And the thousands of Galway supporters who've made the journey across from the west are enjoying every minute of it, savouring what is, it seems at this stage, is bound to be a Galway success. But have we spoken too soon, and is there a Kilkenny response? John Henderson tenaciously taking it out of his defence. Noel Lane in pursuit. Free to Kilkenny. Remember, it's 4-9 for Galway, 9 points for Kilkenny. And a place in the All-Ireland final in 4 weeks' time at stake. And is that Ger Henderson who is in need of attention? Once again, the man there in the blue jacket on the left-hand side, Johnny Cudahy, who looks after the medical affairs of the Kilkenny team, and Pat Henderson once again on the field, just to make sure that his brother is okay. And Galway, it seems, are ready to spring in maybe the ace in their pack. PJ Malloy is ready to come on. There he is. Ger Henderson really in a desperate state, playing on gamely. His side with this free from the 65-metre line. John Mulcahy the taker. Again, lifting it up into the air. The point. Well, every score is needed, but goals are so badly needed. And the big cheer now, because PJ Malloy is on. Handing the scribed piece of paper to the referee. Who's going off? Maybe Pierce Piggott, it is. And the big ovation for Pierce Piggott. Originally selected at full forward, but that was just a tactic to cod the opposition. Here's Brendan Linsky going through. Anthony Cunningham has to stop. And then overhits the pass back to Joe Cooney. Tony Kilkenny. And Galway have hit the post. And it's Frank Houlihan who gets it away from danger. Another let off for Kilkenny, but it's Steve Mahon in what is one of Galway's finest hours in senior hurling over the last 12 years. Ger Henderson trying to open up the space. Harry Ryan running onto it. Towards Liam Fennelly. And John Commons, who's grown in stature as the game has progressed. Joe O'Hara swinging it in towards Liam Fennelly. Sylvie Linane gets it out, but not very far. Here's Conor Hayes. Anthony Cunningham lets it there for Brendan Linsky. There's a lovely understanding in this Galway team. They've shipped a bit of punishment, but very game, very direct, and Martin Naughton has given them a lovely score. From 50 metres out, it's the kind of score that can sink the opposition without trace. So 4 goals between the sides again. So often in the past, these Galway supporters have gone home disappointed. Their team has failed to live up to their billing on the big occasion, but not so today. And Kilkenny, it seems, getting ready to bring on the evergreen Billy Fitzpatrick. Can he make a difference? There's only 10 minutes left to play, and it's asking a lot even of Billy Fitzpatrick, it seems. Harry Ryan is making his way off. They say in Galway, of course, that they'd love nothing more than to win a championship in which they had to beat Kilkenny in the semi-final and then Cork in the final. That's what they'd really love in Galway. And you know, they might just be getting their way this year. No Lane, stopped by John Henderson. They climb up for it again. Christy Heffernan tries to knock it on, but Tony Keady's won that battle all afternoon. Ger Fennelly, it's batted down by Conor Hayes, away by Ollie Kilkenny, but only as far as the unmarked Kieran Brennan. And Kieran Brennan is content to take his point. Just the second point he's got in the match. And Kilkenny right now look a very dispirited lot. What a marvellous catch that was by Brendan Linsky. This team is so well trained, so well coached. And remember, this is their first big match for about 3 months since they played here in the Ford League final. So, a replacement Hurley for the captain, Noel Lane. Nice catch that was by the men at left half-back, Jerry McInerney. Joe Cooney, he has played everywhere. Right now he's figuring in the middle of the field. PJ Malloy is the man who's up front. Galway persist with just 2 men up there. It's a tactic they've employed specifically to open up the Kilkenny defence, and it's worked a treat. But for the All-Ireland final now, if it's against Cork, and at this stage it seems a certainty that it will be, I wonder what tactics they'll employ then. Many times in the past one has seen matches where Kilkenny were involved and they simply swamped and overwhelmed the opposition, and we ended up by saying it was a very one-sided match. Today, incredibly, it's been a one-sided match, but the other way around. PJ Malloy says take that, but he's put it wide. Galway's third wide of the half. That's 9 in all for the match so far. 7 minutes to go. Jerry McInerney once again gets a blow to the face. Nothing malicious, I think, involved at all, just a high challenge that time. The referee, in fact, isn't even going to give him a free. And it's Jerry McInerney who tears out with it. When it comes to the other number 7, Sean Fennelly, and he is needlessly fouled. And the referee is going to have a word with Anthony Cunningham for that belt on the thigh. The notebook was out, I'm not quite sure if the name was taken. Doesn't seem to have been, indeed. Tony Keady makes another superb catch. What a game he is playing at centre half back. He's been on flagging right throughout the 70 minutes, or the 65 that have elapsed so far. Having a tremendous game. Brendan Linsky once again, so impressive at centre half back, restricting Ger Henderson's mobility quite a lot. That's towards Billy Fitzpatrick. Here's Liam Fennelly. As they move inside, Christy Heffernan is the target man. That's overhit. Lester Ryan. Back for Joe O'Hara. They look for a goal. It's batted up by John Commons to Liam Fennelly. He should have finished. Commons was lucky to see it coming back to his stick. Perhaps a little bit of inexperience shown that time by the goalkeeper, as that ball came from Joe O'Hara. He batted it down rather nonchalantly, and he was lucky to get the second chance. So back live with the action, and it's Joe Cooney, the ever-mobile Joe, back on the half-back line at the moment as Galway and Kilkenny play out time. It really has been a desperately disappointing semi-final, that must be said, but full tribute to Galway. Christy Heffernan came raiding with that gilt-edged chance, and as you saw, he's missed it. Nothing but nothing has gone right for Kilkenny. The Cats will have to be content to be league champions and Leinster champions for 1986. Martin Nocton. Many people question the decision to play this man at right half forward, but he has played brilliantly. Good bit of vision. PJ Malloy. 3 players combined, and Galway get the point that matters. PJ Malloy, the scorer. So Galway ahead once again by 4 goals. It seems they've been 4 goals ahead all afternoon. Lester Ryan having to go way back to make a bit of room for himself. Trying to pick out Liam Fennelly. Certainly the Galway tactic of opening up the defence, closing down midfield and marking some of the danger men like Liam Fennelly as tight as possible has worked completely. It's been a total success, and they now just play out time, knowing with that lovely feeling that they are destined for the 1986 All-Ireland final, despite that miss by PJ Malloy. The latest position from the other semi-final is Cork 7-10, Antrim 124, 30 points to 27, closer than many people thought. Richie Power. And a bit of holding, so that's a free into Kilkenny. Two minutes to go. Ger Henderson lobs it in. Kilkenny look for a consolation goal. They've been near to getting one twice in the last 5 minutes. But Tony Keady and his colleagues have been absolutely unflagging and impregnable. A point will have to do. As we say, it scarcely raises a cheer. Nice pass once again into the open defence. Noel Lane, can he finish with a flourish? Content just to hold possession with the strong-willed Brendan Linsky. A tenacious battler, Linsky. He deserves his point. And listen to the cheer. He's taken a lot of punishment in this match. He seems to have been the target for much of the anger. But it seems to be Galway's greatest hour in the semi-final against their old rivals. Remember, they haven't beaten Kilkenny in a semi-final since 1953. Then they won by a point. Right now they're leading by 4 clear goals. One of the most one-sided All-Ireland semi-finals I suppose there ever has been. Peter Finnerty for his trouble will get the free, and Cyril Farrell must be enjoying every solitary second of this. His counterpart Pat Henderson on the sideline as well. But there's nothing Pat Henderson or the backroom team at Kilkenny can do about it at this stage. Conor Hayes taking the free. Galway, who were so disappointed to lose last year's All-Ireland final, looking so good. And I wonder, will they at this stage be rated the favourites going into the All-Ireland final itself? We're into time added on for injuries. Ger Fennelly, Frank Coonahan. John Mulcahy drives it on. Kilkenny, will they get a goal from Billy Fitzpatrick in the dying seconds of the match? Stopped by Sylvia Linnane. The Galway fans on this side of the field, as you see, getting ready to invade and to salute their heroes. And 15 heroes they've had this afternoon. Richie Parr going in that time. Liam Fennelly here, stopped by Ollie Kilkenny. The game still ticks on. We've played a minute of injury time as that ball is driven over the bar by Billy Fitzpatrick. It's all academic at this stage, I'm afraid. Far too little, far too late. Cyril Farrell is down there to salute the heroes. Galway have won. It's Cyril Farrell's big day. There's another big day to come, of course. But at long, long last, we can say that the Kilkenny bogey has been well and truly buried by a brave and very defiant Galway team who won by 4 goals and 12 points to Kilkenny's 13 points. And so, for the second year in succession, Galway will be in the final, and I'm sure the talk will start now of a Galway hurling and football double. You know, it's that kind of year. And so, as Conor Hayes makes his way off, let's return to the studio, and I'm sure, Michael, you must be at least a little pleased after that great performance by Galway.
Thanks indeed, Ger Canning. Always nice to see the underdog come out on top. And Galway in the All-Ireland final, I can tell you, will play Cork, although Cork made it look difficult for themselves today at Croke Park against Antrim. The final score in that match was Cork 7-11, Antrim 1-24, and that's a difference of 32 points to 27. However, let's return again to that match in Thurles and Eamon Cregan. We wondered if half-time, if Galway could keep it up, and they surely did.
They did, Michael, they did, even though I was wrong, and I've been wrong, unfortunately been wrong before, but anyway, that's the way it goes. The way I looked at it today, Galway hit Kilkenny with everything, and Kilkenny weren't able to come back. And taking Joe Cooney there at one stage went through for the 4th goal. The ball, he kicked the ball forward and it came up to his hand, into his hand, and it came up beautifully, and he buried the ball in the back of the net. Now that was the way Galway played all through the game. They made Kilkenny look bad today.
Dave Burney, beside you there, Eamon said he was wrong, but to be honest, an awful lot of people were wrong this year, because hurling experts, people in the know, said this Kilkenny team is really, really good.
Yes, well, they certainly had delivered right the way up along the line. Dermot made a point earlier on that they were going right from the beginning of the year. They were on the boil right through the league campaign into the league final, and then they had to start at the deep end again. They didn't get any rest at all. They were right in against Wexford. Then they had Dublin, and they had Offaly then, which was another baptism of fire. So really didn't have any rest. As I say, they were kept on the boil. And Galway went into today's game really fresh. They dominated the game from the word go. They hurled with confidence and composure. And as Ger Canning rightly said, they certainly laid that bogey to rest today.
Well, that league final defeat for Galway at the hands of Kilkenny obviously spurred them on a lot today, Dermot Healy. But I suspect that last September and the defeat in the All-Ireland final against Offaly had a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah, when you lose a final like Offaly in '84, if Offaly hadn't lost the final in '84, they wouldn't have won last year. Similarly with Galway, their pride is hurt, and it's an added incentive to put in a greater effort this year. And they were a far fresher team today. Kilkenny were a tired team, which, you know, all along the championship, I suspected this was going to happen, because you know, they're having a terrible long season and putting in an awful lot of hurling, and it's unfortunate that they went out in such circumstances. But Galway hurled well, fresh on the day, put up a good performance.
Well, now, we wondered at half-time here, Eamon, just exactly what might be said in the Kilkenny dressing room to redress the balance, and out they came in the second half, and suddenly they were hit by this hammer blow again by Galway, which was Noel Lane's goal. And we might take a look at that goal again, because to me, this was the one that really put the tin hat on it, if you like, for Kilkenny.
Well, that's true. Like, I'm sure there were very hard words spoken at half-time inside in the dressing room, and I'm sure Pat tried to get his team going, but they were hit so hard in the first half that they were suffering from shock, and you could see it in their play in the second half. I think Kevin Fennelly epitomised it there at one stage. He was pucking the ball out, and he was pucking it as if the game was already over and that Kilkenny weren't going to win. And Galway were the opposite. They were so full of enthusiasm, so full of running, that they kept going, and like we were wondering at half-time, would they keep going? They had to if they were going to win, and they did, and they made everything work on the day.
Well, this one was taken, it came right from the start, the goal for Galway, right on the resumption of play. And here it is, Eamon, Noel Lane, his second goal of the match.
Yes, indeed. He goes in and he hand passes it, and Fennelly brings off a great save. And next thing, Joe Cooney is coming across and he's onto the rebound and he lashes the ball into the net. Marvellous goal. I thought that Noel should have scored it before that, but Fennelly made a great save. But it's again, it originally started from a flick by Joe Cooney out to Noel Lane. Noel Lane, as you can see here, is running in. Now he's very far out and he hits a very hard pass, but Fennelly has anticipated it. But there's Joe Cooney coming in with no messing whatsoever. He lashes that ball into the net, and that's the way it should be done.
Joe Cooney played such an important role today, Dave Burney, I thought, for Galway.
Yes, not only did he score 2 goals, but he also made another 2, and he brought the other 4 Galway forwards into the game. I say 4 because Galway used the ploy of bringing Pierce Piggott out into the middle of the field, which gave them a third midfielder. But I think all the Galway players today hurled inspired. They were absolutely inspired from the word go. And we were wondering here at half-time if they'd actually last the pace. But not only did they last the pace, but they finished much stronger than Kilkenny.
Dermot Healy, while you were savouring Offaly's All-Ireland victory last September in Croke Park, Cyril Farrell, the Galway manager, I'm afraid, was a disappointed man that day. I'm sure that he's a much happier man today. We're going to find out right now because he's talking to Ger Canning in Thurles.
Welcome back to Semple Stadium. Of course, with me we've got Cyril Farrell, the Galway manager. Congratulations, Cyril. I'd say you are, at this stage, without voice at least.
I'm absolutely thrilled, Ger, to, well, I suppose to confound all the experts. We got a terrible stick at home, I need to say, and we had worked hard for this day 3 months. We played Kilkenny in the league final. And with no disrespect to the other teams, we felt that they'd come through, and we worked solid for 10 weeks on how to beat them. It was fantastic to see it working out today.
Your tactics worked a dream, didn't they?
They weren't tactics there at all. It just happened that way.
Well, we've got a lot of your noisy supporters here, but now it's the final, and that's another 4 weeks away. It's another game. It's Cork.
It'll be very hard to win the final because, like, after beating Kilkenny, be touch and go. Every championship game is a 50-50 ball game, really, and it's horses for courses. It'll probably be a new team playing Cork, and with the help of God, like, we put our game together, and we don't intend to lose this, and we intend to win it.
Cyril Farrell, congratulations to you, and with that, it's back to you.
Yes, well, Cyril Farrell and Ger Canning under a lot of pressure in Thurles, under an awful lot more pressure perhaps than the Galway defence was under for a lot of the day today.
That's true. Cyril, typical understatement. You know, they weren't tactics, but they were. They played a tremendously tactical game, and like we mentioned earlier on, that they only played 2 full forwards. Again, that was to open up the Kilkenny defence, and they did so. And we were talking there about Joe Cooney. Brendan Linsky had a marvellous game. Steve Mahan, Tony Keady, you know, they all played well, and they played well up the centre.
All the younger players seemed to
they
perform
did.
so well for Galway.
They did, and they ran and they harried and they ran all over the place, and they were willing to die for Galway today. And that's the type of attitude and that's the type of discipline and commitment that's needed to win games. Kilkenny had it up to this game. Unfortunately, they hadn't it today for themselves.
Just a moment ago, Dave, we saw that goal scored there by Joe Cooney for Galway, and then there was the 4th goal for Galway, which came up a few minutes after that. And this one, again, was another killer blow at the right time for Galway.
Yes, it's a long ball. It's dropping in to the middle of the field. Joe Cooney, as you can see, he's gone inside John Henderson there. The ball comes up right for him and he strikes it, and there's no question about it. But he was really on song today. Everything really went right for them. But I think it has to be said as well that Galway made things go right for them today.
Yes, even in this situation here, he was a little bit lucky to get almost to stumble around the keeper, if you like.
Yes, well, you know, this thing of luck, you make your own luck, and I think Joe Cooney has made his own luck right through the game. I mean, the fact that he has scored 4 goals and a few points today and brought the other Galway forwards into the game as well. He laid off some beautiful passes. I don't think that's luck.
You, Dermot, a little bit earlier on, were questioning Kevin Fennelly's performance in goal.
Yeah, like he was coming off of his line. He's a very confident goalkeeper, but he came off of his line. He has been doing this in all matches, and unfortunately for Kevin, it backfired on him today, and his tendency to run off the line too quickly.
Where, apart from that, around the field, would you think that Kilkenny fell down to the greatest against Galway?
I wouldn't say it is. You couldn't pick out any particular part of the field. It was up here, attitude. When it comes to the closing stages of any championship, what is important is attitude. And I think this is what's going to win this All-Ireland. And I think Galway are going to win this All-Ireland just listening to Cyril Farrell there. Because Galway adopted a tactic today. It was a gamble, the 2 men inside, and they won. But they have to forget about that now. They can't try that anymore. It's a surprise, and it worked. And I was, glad to hear him saying that it'll be a new team the next day, a new format. And with that sort of an attitude, I think Galway are on course for an All-Ireland.
All right, well, that's Dermot Healy's view of it. Dave Burney, how would you see the Cork-Galway All-Ireland final?
Well, Galway, over the last few years, since they re-emerged as a hurling force, they have had one good game every year, and on that day, they have been unbeatable. Now, I think they have learned an awful lot this year. I think Cyril Farrell and Bernie O'Connor are 2 shrewd backroom boys. I think they proved today they took the gamble, it paid off. Now they're going to have to sit down again and analyse that performance. Things went really well for them today. They were hungry for the game today. And I think Cork is another hurdle that they've got to cross. And they have proved in the past that they were well capable of beating Cork. They have beaten them in a few All-Ireland semi-finals. And I think they can do it again. And
the last word to Eamon Cregan.
I'm in a dilemma. I've been wrong now so far. I'm afraid to even say who's going to win. As Dermot and Dave has said, it's going to be a new ball game. I think that Cork are going to play a different brand of hurling from Kilkenny. I don't know. At the moment, I simply don't know. I'll have to analyse it over the next week, and I come back to you someday, and I'll let you know who's going to win.
All right, Eamon, well, we will give you a chance to do that. But from the programme for this afternoon, that's about it. Don't forget, tonight on the Sunday game, which is on at 10:10, you can see highlights of today's match. We'll also have a report for you from that match in Croke Park between Cork and Antrim. But for the moment, from us, it's bye-bye to you.